Hello, and I welcome you to my YouTube channel. My name is STEPHANIEESCATE, and I will be the voice behind the camera today. Today we are venturing through a local thrift store together, through all the racks of all the hidden treasures, both new, vintage, trendy, and what on earth might that be? But also, I would love to chat with you guys about some important reseller news that has hit the fan very recently. So we will be going through this store section by section, but I do want to chit chat and touch on something super important in the reselling world. So as we go through, I might stop and chit chat about little cute finds and then jump back into it. I apologize, but I didn't even know that this was going to be a thing. So first I want to chat about this. I believe it is a Linda Lundstrom La Parka. I couldn't find the tag on the inside, but they wanted $70 for it. And although it's a beautiful vintage piece, it wasn't something that I was interested in picking up or reselling. And unfortunately, as I was thrifting, I was under this dark cloud because I had just learned that Poshmark was pulling out of the India market, the Australia market, and the UK market. They were shutting down all three of those markets as of October 26th. Please take a moment to appreciate the fact that this is a short sleeve leather jacket. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. So yes, they informed everyone on October 19th, either by Instagram post or by email. Another moment for this jacket that has a little repair here with a little poppy detail. I think only at the very beginning of this video will I have to stop and talk about the items. Because again, I really wanted to do a typical thrift with me, but there's so many more important issues right now. So we could still look at the amazing finds, but again, I was under this dark cloud. So let's go back to the dark cloud. So this cloud of uncertainty, we were finding out on Instagram or by email if you were in the affected countries. And as a Canadian who had this very new. We're still fresh. We're 4 years into this, and we are behind the US. The US will always be first. That is the baby. That is how it started. And then Canada kind of rides the coattails. So a lot of their information and marketing is really focused on the US. So as a Canadian, that is very concerning. And they made it very clear at PoshFest that they weren't addressing the issue. And they did wait until after PoshFest, which again is another red flag as a user of their platform. But I understand as a business, they didn't really want to deal with face-to-face backlash. But it is sickening and heart-wrenching for the people that were affected. Again, they gave them 7 days to not only clear out their items, get their items sold, shipped out, accepted, payments added to their accounts, and payments sent to their bank, all within 7 days. It seems very messy, very fast. Everyone's kind of in this whole tailspin. Okay, this is a very gorgeous piece. It's vintage. That's all I have to say. Very tailspin of everything. So that's so hard. And I can't imagine being any of those platform users because it hasn't even been a year since they've launched. Now, to relate this back to myself, Poshmark launched in June 2019 in Canada, and I myself didn't know that it had launched until December of 2019. So about 6 months into its life on the market in Canada. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the marketing. I actually did know about Poshmark prior to its launch in Canada. There was very big resellers on YouTube who were chatting it up, and I looked into it and I couldn't figure out how to do cross-border shipping from Canada to the US to actually make it work. So I waited. I didn't sign up to be a beta tester. Maybe I should have, but I found it in December 2019. Now, when I did find it and I sold my first item in January of 2020, I went full force because of the situation I was in. I was out of work, I was injured, and I needed to make a little bit of extra income, and it was also the beginning of a pandemic. So I really did put my all into it immediately. So I was invested. And I can only imagine there are so many individuals across all three of those countries who were also invested in some sort of way, whether time, money, energy was put in. All that got erased within 7 days. That is wild to me. So again, I found it within 6 months. It hasn't even been a year for the launch of any of those countries. Some of those countries were just launching Posh shows, and I'm going to get into Posh shows too because there's some conflicting information that even I have found myself, and I don't have internal intel. Like, I really don't. This is my experience as a dedicated user to the platform for 3.5 years, more than 3.5 years, really. We're almost on to 4 years as myself being a user of the platform. And I've watched the different features be rolled out. I've watched the different things happen, and it's a lot. So again, this is just my own personal experience and my own personal opinion and the way I'm reflecting on the whole situation. I just really want to bring the conversation back around because I want to look out for you guys as fellow resellers, as shoppers, as just humans. I want to look out for you guys. So that is the reason behind this video. So let's go back to how invested I was. So I did have a lot of money and stuff on the line. And again, could not imagine how quickly I would have to just liquidate that or figure something else out. Now, I do know that there are other platforms in these areas that they could be selling on, but I don't have firsthand knowledge of any sort of platforms available in Australia, India, or the UK. I was really excited as a user of Poshmark Canada that maybe one day in the far future, because I know it was going to be very far future at that we could have worldwide shipping and we could have shipped to the UK, we could have shipped to Australia, but now those dreams are dashed. But you know what? That's just beside the point because it's really not about me. It's not about us. I'm still so sick thinking about each of those individuals, all those users no longer have a business, no longer have that platform. They have 6 days now left to liquidate their stuff, ship out their items. Hopefully the item gets accepted. I don't even know what the back end of all that's going to look like. And I'm very grateful. But it's very unfortunate. So that's the big news. Poshmark is closing down Poshmark UK, Poshmark India, and Poshmark Australia in like 6 days from this, or October 26th, 2023. And they didn't really give anyone much notice. And by anyone, I'm almost certain that this was really out of left field because I went and looked on Posh shows on both the UK and on Australia. I did try India, but I don't even think they have Posh shows yet on the India platform. So I did look on the UK and on the Australia ones, and they still had shows booked, hosted by the Poshmark people, I guess, like head office, to teach users how to use the live shows. But they're already booked, they're pre-booked, and they're booked past when those platforms are supposed to shut down. So there's a huge disconnect. And if you've been a user of Poshmark in the past, either on the US, the Canada, or even the other 3 platforms, you will know that there is a lot of disconnect. And I just wonder why. Why is there so much disconnect and on an internal level? And then also, why is there such disconnect on an external level? I understand we are platform users. We sign up for this. They don't have to listen to us. That's why a lot of people are like, well, why don't you say your concerns? They really don't have to listen to us. We are just an end user. They have a company, they have a business, they have some sort of business model, they have a wonderful team of people who are working behind the scenes and doing what they need to do. And at the end of the day, we are not their employees. We are not who they need to worry about. But I am a little confused why there is an internal disconnect. I don't know if it was like, let's book them so people aren't suspicious or what, but I'm still confused. So what I'm talking about is specifically they had these ones booked in the UK, and then they also had these ones booked in Australia. And what is really interesting, specifically for the ones in Australia, is that they were giving how-tos on screen while doing the lives. And that's something I really wish Canada would have done, because still to this day, as a veteran user of Posh shows, like I was the first beta testers and that, and then I did, I think, a show in probably the first week that it was launched in November of 2022. And so I've been through the glitches and all the hoops and loops, and I think that even my participation has added value in some way, shape, or form with how it even runs to date, because it is all user data that they're using to really bring this platform to where it is today. I don't feel like there's a lot of internal use where they're actually testing it out and trying it and really seeing how it would actually affect us as a user. because there's a lot of glitches, a lot of bugs, but a lot of push to just do it. Just put it out there regardless, even if it's not a functioning feature. So, but like I said, as somebody who has been doing this for so long, I'm always answering questions and I'm always having to like even explain how to bid on a show. So the users aren't even getting the education needed. So as a Canadian user, I noticed those shows and I was like, this is what we need and this is what we've needed. This is why it's so hard for these different features to take off, because we don't get certain educational tools that are necessary. And then we are left to rely on the community, and how is that really helping anyone at the end of the day? Like, I love helping everyone. I love answering questions, but like I have a family and I have a life and I also have a business I'm trying to keep up. I just don't know why Poshmark leaves it up to us to kind of figure out. It's getting tiresome. I have no words. There are so many even users on the platform who are willing to help Poshmark in that sense and actually have these educational tools. But Poshmark doesn't give us any sort of incentive, not in Canada at least. We have no incentive. They even released this new feature, and here I will add a little snippet here about the little feature that they've added in. The Posh Party Live feature, where for an hour, you can participate in a show and sell things for other people in this very specific posh party that has certain items that need to be featured for it. Posh parties were a dying thing. I don't even understand what it matters if this person picked this item to showcase it. I've never had an item sell because someone else said, oh my gosh, you need to look at this item. The whole theory of posh parties is lost on me. I feel like they really were grasping at straws with that and then decided, let's just try and really hone in on this sell together feature and have some sort of control over it. Now, when they did have this little beta testing thing, they mentioned stuff like $3 starts that Poshmark would 100% profit from. And that was kind of weird and sickening. They were again using us to sell items for them. But again, that was a US thing and they didn't bring it over to the Canada side. And I'm very grateful because, again, pushing that $5 start or $3 start on any platform is not realistic. And you definitely have to have a certain audience and certain items. And if it works for you, 100% lean into it. But don't perpetuate it on a platform and then expect us all to be successful, because that is just setting everyone up for failure. So that is all I will really say about that Posh Party feature. It is silly. There's a lot of things that people don't even understand. Like, you have to have the brand that is listed in that show featured at the bottom complete, like the whole time that you're live. So if you put something else out of there, it'll take you out of the show if you're not showing that item. And then there's also like the quick lists were supposed to be by brand, but there was never an option to put brands in there. So again, a lot of glitches, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not even going to get into what the features are because it doesn't make sense to me. And if somebody else wants to champion them, then that is good on them. It won't be me. All right, so going back to what this was all originally about is the whole shutdown of the UK, India, and Australia platforms. And I had posted about it as I found out about it, just as everyone else was finding out about it on my Instagram stories. And I had posted after saying that I'm receiving the message loud and clear. I hope you are too. And I got a lot of messages of people really not understanding what I meant and asking me if I thought Poshmark Canada would be closing. So here's my take, and here's what I meant. So the message that I'm getting loud and clear is that we are end users. We are not their main focus. We are not their employees, and we are not their first thought. So at the end of the day, should Poshmark Canada ever shut down, they will give us 7 days. So if you have all of your eggs in this one basket, know that at any drop of the hat, they could shut it down within 7 days. That's all I was saying. The message loud and clear was, we are the least important things about what they're doing. I know they're going through lots of changes. They've gone through new ownership and all of that fun stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't even aware of. So the Poshmark that it is today isn't even what it was before. It was a completely different platform before, and it was really enjoyable. But changes have been made, and we have to roll with them. But do I think that Poshmark is going to go down anytime soon? No. But if it does, I won't be surprised. And I also will not be shocked if we're given 7 days notice. So that's really what I was hinting at. It was like, if you have everything in one spot right now, don't. If you have been waiting to cross list, maybe venture onto a new platform, maybe start a website of your own, maybe start looking into that. Research it. It does take a lot of energy, a lot of time. It does cost money to put up your own website. You also have to pay processing fees when you are using a website that does have payment options, but it is evident to me that you really have to take control of your business now more than ever. We are in a time where I didn't even think as a kid I would see, because I remember going through a recession as a child. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like dog eat dog world. And this is literally just showing that at the end of the day, Poshmark is going to make decisions for themselves that are going to benefit their pocket and their bottom line. They are going to do what benefits them first. We, again, are not their employees, and that's all I was saying. Again, I don't have special insider information. I don't even think some employees of Poshmark have insider information. And that is, again, based off what I've shown here, where they're planning in the future, but yet can't closing down. It's not adding up. They had just barely launched Posh shows in both of those countries, and now they're closing down. It just seems like money was misspent or budget is just gone. I don't know, but a lot of things are not connecting, and I don't have all the answers. All I can do is sit here and be observant and then do what's best for me. So if that means expanding onto a different platform, using Poshmark alongside other ones, then that might be what I need to do. But the one thing everyone has always said from the very beginning is never put all your eggs in one basket. And if this doesn't jolt you guys enough to realize that you really should be looking into other avenues and other platforms, then I don't know what to tell you. This is a direct repercussion, I guess you could say, of the lack of communication, because I feel like if Poshmark Canada or Poshmark in general gave us more explanation, or gave us at least some sort of communication on what direction they were going, we would feel less like vulnerable. I just feel so vulnerable that they could close up shop at any moment. And I'm now sitting here like, okay, well, I'm going to take some control into my own hands, which then again negatively affects Poshmark. So all of us jumping ship and going to a different platform, or, spreading our, wealth amongst different platforms does negatively affect Poshmark Canada. But at the same time, what is Poshmark Canada doing to help us? Not a whole lot. And I say Poshmark Canada because that's the platform I use. Just saying. But I'm not going to try to speak on anybody else's behalf. I don't use Poshmark US. I've never been on the other platforms, although I have experienced some of the shows. I have jumped in and watched them. I unfortunately was really interested in seeing where we were going to go with that, but that's the end of that. That chapter closes. I wish we could have expanded further, but that's not the case. So that's where we're at. So these were like my little tinkering thoughts that I had. And there was a lot of people who had reached out and were like, what's going to happen, Stephanie? Because this is my full-time business and me being a reseller online, it is detrimental and it is concerning and it is heart-wrenching, because we are going into like some of the darker times of the months. And I am a mental health advocate, both online and in person. So I do kind of think about that in the whole range of things. And I just think it's the worst time, especially before the holidays, especially before the high buying season, to do something like that to your users and offer like no support. But what can you do? So I am here. I hope that if anyone does need someone to reach out to, they can reach out to me. They can find support within their community, reach out to others. There's a lot of people going through just so much transitional stuff right now that this was just another transition to add to that list of things. If you are in Canada and you are concerned about this whole situation, reach out to your friends, family, your other Posh friends, and maybe come together as a community and we can find something a little bit more stable and create that stability for ourselves. So that's really all that I had to chit chat about today. I hope you enjoyed the little montage of things that I looked around and shopped at. But like I said, I didn't really buy anything other than the Simpsons book that we saw a little earlier for my son's birthday, and then a game board, which I will show shortly. But I really felt like buying inventory right now didn't really make any sense. It's a very uncertain, unsure time, and I want to make the best moves for me. I want to make sure that I put my business first, my family first, and I don't know that investing more into inventory is going to be the best move for me right now. So for me, if anybody was interested, I'm just going to be focusing on listing, cross listing, and trying to effectively create my own I don't know what to call it. Like, I just don't want to depend on anyone. Like, I don't want anyone to take the carpet from underneath me. So I'm not really going to edit this and be all super fancy. This is really raw Stephanie coming at you guys with how I feel with this whole situation, because it is unnerving and unjarring that this is the kind of situation that we're getting put into in 2023 on a reselling platform. But again, it's not even for me personally, because I'm not personally affected in Canada, not yet, but it definitely has my ears up. I'm aware and I'm going to be making some changes. So I hope you guys do take some stuff away from this. Either just work on you, work on your own business, reach out, get support, and just know you're not alone. Like, this whole reselling world is wild and crazy, but we need to stick together, okay? Even if the platforms pull their carpets from underneath us, we will always have each other. So again, feel free to reach out either down below in the comments. If you guys aren't already following me on Instagram, you can message me there. I do respond. And you might get a voicemail from me because I do like to talk rather than text. But hey, then you get to hear more of my voice, I guess, if you don't find it annoying. Anywho. Here's another piece here. It is Jacques Saint Laurent, and it like took me for a moment because I was like, it's not Yves Saint Laurent, and it didn't feel like real fur. So apparently it's like a funky faux fur jacket. I don't know. So there were a couple of interesting pieces here at the end that I did want to just quickly showcase before I sign off here. So that is this one here. Nothing in it even mentioned fur, but just that you couldn't steam it. So I'm assuming it's plastic, honestly. There was like a real fur jacket right behind it, so I could tell the difference immediately. And then these were 1988 Sun Ice snow pants from the Olympics. So the Calgary Olympics, and they were like still amazing quality. Like, they did a number on those. So really good pieces. But again, did not purchase any of these items. Just not in a reselling buying mood. But I did take some time to shop for my son for his birthday that is coming up. And he is a Harry Potter fan. And I happened to walk over to the game boards and found this one from 2001. It is Diagon Alley board game. And I sat there and counted out all the pieces to make sure they were all there. So he's going to be getting those two things as well as some other items. So I do want to stress that secondhand gifts are just as good as brand new. So I do that in my regular life.
And here are the bloopers. The bloopers! You would think that I was trying to put this back on the hanger, but I was just so fed up with it. And I had fixed so many shirts at this point that I was just over it. And if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And I hope that you guys enjoy the ride. Goodbye. Here we go. Whoop. Boom. And that's what happens when you're recording live. I mean, out in public. All right. Bye.